The waters between Britain and France are turbulent and difficult. This is where the impact of Brexit will be felt, not in politics, but in tangible, cold, wet, real life. Right now, European fishing boats can enter these waters freely, so we've joined the French vessel L'Angevry out of Boulogne and hunting for crabs and sole. The boat's captain has followed his father and grandfather into this job. He doesn't fear weather or waves, but he is nervous about Brexit.
We are really frightened that a hard Brexit will prevent us from fishing in British waters. The majority of our fishing happens in these waters, and so for us, that would be the end of our jobs.
Night falls and the work is arduous. On this trip, they'll catch more than 200 kilos of fish and seafood. The challenge is to get it back to port while it's fresh. Time is pressing everywhere. Brexit talks are deadlocked. Without a deal, European boats may be barred from areas they fished for generations. Night gives way to morning. We cross an invisible frontier. Well, we've moved from French waters and gone into British coastal waters. So what you're seeing is a French vessel hauling up nets full of fish and seafood that have been caught in British coastal waters. That's been legal now for decades, but if that framework were to change, it would have huge repercussions for the fishing industry in Britain and across Europe. We return to Boulogne. The fish will be unloaded and sold at the quayside, and among these stalls there is pride and defiance. Emily sells the lobsters that her partner catches.
Knowing our fishermen, they better warn the police over there, because they'll go out fishing anyway. It's like the French fishing industry is being allowed to die out, but the foreign industry can survive. It's not normal.
Across the dock, other hauls are sold at the daily auction, bought by food companies, suppliers and restaurants. British fishermen sell their catches here too. Sole, sea snail, sea bass, all of them more popular with European customers than in the UK. Sold in Boulogne, dispatched across the continent.
You, the British, you need to exploit your fishing zones, but you aren't able to do this alone. You need the European market to sell a whole series of products that you don't really consume, and we also need you for such supplies.
Around us, the lorries leave. Fish landed this morning will be eaten tonight in Paris, Berlin and in Brussels, which is where a future fishing deal occupies the minds of the politicians. Brexit negotiations are contentious and difficult. Xavier Bellamy wrote the European Parliament's report into the fishing industry. He told me Europe was prepared to compromise, but that he fears the backlash if a deal can't be done.
We need to find a partnership. If we don't do so, these social and economic difficulties that we will face will result, obviously, in tensions and maybe in big clashes at sea between British and other European fishermen, which would be a catastrophe.
Back at the dock, the fishermen prepare for another day at sea. A fishing deal will require compromise and realism on both sides, but this is an industry that knows about patience.